Good morning, traders. Welcome back to the channel. We have a lot to talk about. Bitcoin took a dump. You guys know from the last video I was talking about we were looking for about 58.5 to 59K, which did give us a really nice bounce. Let us cycle the previous day range. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover a handful of harmonics today, including the two sharks that could be playing out back to back. But we're also going to compare it to this range right here because I think this range is very comparative and indicative of what we're doing right now potentially. So buckle up. There's a lot of information to cover. We are going to talk about Ethereum today. Ethereum painting a bearish pattern as well. We'll talk about invalidations, confirmations on these. Should you be buying the dip? When do you know the dip is over? And we'll go from there. There's this video will probably be about 15 minutes long, ideally. So let's start with range data. It's already up. It's easy. So let's go back to our range right before we broke the all-time highs. And so this was a fun one for me because this was a great long right here. It came all the way back to the value area low of the range. So why do I think it's similar? Well, what we did was we came up, we established the highs of the range, deviated the lows, which we recently did, came back, ran the highs, lived up here for a little bit. Then we came back and actually cycled the lows. And this was a really nice butterfly, if I recall. It was a butterfly inside of a butterfly, for anyone that remembers that. Then when we cycled the lows here, off we go. Now, if we come back up here and we take a look, everybody is comparing this to this range, and there are similarities, I would agree. But we did establish this interior range here. So what this tells me is that I think I have an incomplete data set as of right now. So I think I'm going to expand this range just a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean here. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this 50K range. And I've already gone ahead and just pulled it. It's from the same starting point as the prior range here. There we go. Same starting point as the 50K range from the breakout of the old range here, except now I'm just extending it over. And what you'll notice is it just gets price action really well. And it's something that I toyed around with in the group kind of on and off for the last couple days. Just seeing that we were coming up to that macro resistance, if you guys recall. Underneath here, this was the box, right? This was our box that we were aiming for, at least the first one. And why was it? Is because it was a macro 1618 extension, along with the 1-to-1 extension of a previous move. There was all kinds of Fibonacci confluence for this level. It's almost not worth going into at this point because there was so much. But we've covered it over and over since February 17th that this was the box to get into and we need to see the reaction. Did we think we could come all the way up through it to like 68K? Absolutely. That is your golden pocket, on a macro level all the way up into this region. But it looks like Bitcoin is kind of having some trouble with it now. So you can see how the ranges begin to look alike, though. We came up to the range, we deviated the highs, came back to the lows. Small deviation of the lows in this instance. Now we've ran the highs for a larger deviation, much like we did over here, where we deviated the highs, larger deviation on the lows here, but that's irrelevant. Deviation, larger deviation, where we lived above the highs for a while, came back and cycled the range, and then off we go. The question is will we do something similar? I don't know. Nobody really truly knows that, guys. And I'm not trying to sit here and tell you I have all the answers, but what I am telling you is you need to be prepared for that scenario because there were a lot of people that were unprepared for this one. We longed this. I was working in a different group at the time as an analyst. This was one, a perfect retest of the lows of the range, and then two, there was two harmonics here, a butterfly right here, boom, 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 and then a butterfly within that butterfly that was just absolutely wonderful all around. So this was a really great range to trade. And I couldn't be happier with that one. And I hope we get a similar one because I think that it would give us opportunities, one, to buy Bitcoin at really nice prices, and two, just to get more trades in because I prefer ranging action versus trending action as is. So I am in a long at the moment, counting on this 4-hour candle to not do me dirty. So what it has done is come over here and swept the lows of this at the highs of the range. So at about 55,086 is what I want to see this 4-hour candle close above and hold on a closing basis. And then I'd be looking for this to put in, some basing action and try up. And so what we'd be looking for then is where might price get rejected? Just pulling from where we're at here, when we're up at these highs, you could probably, conclude that 56,787 is going to be pretty key. So if we pull this up, you can see that this is actually probably where we're coming in at right now. Let's see if we can get this to work. Sorry guys, TradingView's lacking just a little bit. And we are returning to the point of control as of right now, and we have come down to the lows of this overall move, right? So if we get past the point of control, we could come all the way back up to the highs at about 59,646, which would be enough to get people fairly bullish. And ironically, I had made a comment in the group today that I really wanted to see a certain level hold, and I believe it was right here because we were swing failing the lows, something like this. And so that would put us in proximity of that swing failure here that has failed, and it would operate as resistance. And so coming back up here gets everybody bullish again, and then you dump back down, you've made lower highs. But what it also allows us to do is something similar to this, where we can get Fibonacci expansion levels now because we now have a low and a high, and we hit the 1-to-1 on this down here perfectly. So I am expecting us to try to attempt to put in a lower high at some point. The trigger for that is going to be holding this swing failure pattern here of the lows that we just made. If we can hold these levels, I do think that it'll base here and try to put something in, and from there we can pull fibs, we can pull range data, and just kind of determine that. So that is just freehanding it, looking at it from market structure standpoint, from the failure of the support here right around like the $59,500 range. And then this hopefully new support, well, not new, but this support holding just to give us that bounce up so that either A, we can fill shorts, or B, we can look for a confirmation level to go further upside. And I would look at this region right here, a reclaim of $59,450 as an early sign of bullishness. Actually, I would think of that as probably, an SR flip that if happened, we would be targeting the upside, and our golden pocket comes in here very nicely. So this is going to be the area of interest at about 59,162 to 59,474. Let's see where our VWAP is coming in at. Way before that, so that's interesting. Let's see what the anchored VWAP looks like from this dump. Yeah, there it is coming in at the golden pocket. So very nice. I like to see that. Let's see if we can get this bounce up into there. Again, line in the sand is 55,086 at this point. Otherwise, I'm just watching each individual low. I know that sounds weird, just looking for some kind of a confirmation of a low before I get too involved in the market. The only reason I'm involved right now is I got a really good entry. What I did was I basically went long off of the sweep of this low, so I was able to basically time the low within a few $100s. So I'm at a good point where the stop loss is at the bottom of this wick at the overall low. And so it gives me a really easy invalidation to see if we can't get this bounce up. So that's where I'm at on Bitcoin right now. Let's look at some range data according to time. So we now can compare this to an old range. We know what's on the table. We know that there is the potential for us to come back into this range now and maybe even sweep it. So we've been talking about $52,000 or so, give or take, for a little bit now. Let's go ahead and cover that one more time here. Those are all my lows. I'm going to get rid of those. And we need to talk about the patterns at play. So let's talk about the short opportunity that arose and the short squeeze that arose before it. So right before we got the short squeeze, we had a series of harmonics that I went down the rabbit hole on harmonics today with the guys in the group on the 15-minute time frame, which not something I normally recommend, to be honest with you. I need to get rid of this guy right here. Just want to get it cleaned up a little bit for you. And so what we were working off of for the long was the previous day data. We'll go over to exocharts for that. You'll notice that we opened up our daily candle below the previous day val, and then we actually found our way back into the previous day range, and we cycled to the previous day high here, pretty much bang on at about 60,784. So let's pull up our previous day here, and what you'll notice is that's exactly what occurred. We came down to this low. This was right where the open was taking place here. That is the open, actually, and people aggressively shorted looking for the gap. So they got squeezed to the previous day value high, and then they ran it back. Now, there were several things that occurred to let you know that, one, this was just a lower high, and we haven't done anything special yet. So one, we never got out of the previous day value high and took these highs. You can see this is lower high after lower high. And then two, we had several things to go into it. So going into this move, we did have some low time frame harmonics that played out really well. So I'm pretty happy with them. I am going to plug that Scott Carney, he has a free website. I've said it before. Go to harmonictrader.com. He's got free videos on there that goes over all these patterns I'm about to show you, and then he has 2 books out. I've read both of them. There are a couple other harmonics books as well. I've read some of those and just trying to keep them fresh in my mind and get better at this. I've been practicing harmonics for about a year now. It's probably the weakest part of my technical analysis skills, but seems to be getting better a lot lately, so I'm very happy about that. So we had a really nice Gartley into this short right here, okay, and this Gartley led straight into a low time frame shark. All right, so we had the shark, we had the lows getting taken here. We saw that we were coming back into previous day value area low. I didn't long the very low. What I did was I waited for acceptance here, and then I longed looking for previous day value area high. I'll show you that trade here in just a second, right? And then coming into these highs, we did have one thing, and I posted this on Twitter and in the group. On Twitter, this is what I had posted essentially. This is a deep crab, and this is a bearish pattern, and this is the target on that crab, is you're looking for the B, the C, and then the A, and the A coming in at 55,086. So it didn't catch the bottom of the pattern, but it did absolutely play out. So there was a lot of confluence for this being bearish price action and looking for lower prices. You know, obviously we were all looking for about 57K. That's where the new weekly pivot was. It was where also the weekly and monthly POC was. And I had mentioned this to Nick in the group because it front ran it right here. And I took this long and then I got out. And I'll show you that real quick. I did get into that long and then I took it 57,482, got out at 58,000. And then right here, 57,487 and 58,360. Then I had a few other trades, again, up to the highs of the old range here. I think I got out at 60,696, so I didn't quite catch the exact top, but pretty good. So I had some good trades there. You know, all of them based off of a plan, and that's the most important part. So I just told them that this pivot right here and the weekly POCs, while it seems like good support when you get a front run like this, oftentimes it just comes straight through the area of interest after that. So it doesn't mean you can't long it. It just means that you need to be prepared to have a stop loss, because sometimes these targets are so obvious they get front ran, and then when they come through it, they just blast on through. That's exactly what happened. So we are looking at that exact scenario for Bitcoin that played out. All right, so that's where we're at. We're watching this for the swing failure pattern, which has occurred on the low time frames, and looks like it's going to confirm here on the 4 hour. So about 16 minutes away, unless something crazy happens. I am looking for a test up, looking for that test into, it looks like previous day value area low, really, and the swing failure pattern here. So previous day value area low, this swing failure pattern is going to be the area of interest for me right now. We've done an interesting thing structurally now in 2 different ranges. So I'm going to get rid of some stuff on the chart here to clean it up, and we're going to try to make this as neat as possible. We have done, you know, and Scott confirmed this one, which made me really happy, because I am a big fan of Scott and his work, because he's created a lot of these patterns. Scott has created the shark and the 5-0. So we have this harmonic right here that we spotted a little too late almost, because, you know, we didn't spot it until we said, okay, we'll probably get this secondary move up to the 113% retrace, which we did get, also in confluence with the 1618 coming into that region. You guys know that on the macro level, we covered that recently, that this is a macro target right here. This was the 1618 coming in there on your log scale, and that is a big deal from the 20K high to the 3K low. This is the golden mean ratio, and we even mentioned in the last video that a sizable pullback could come. We just need to be prepared for it. So this was always a target in a de-risking area to take profits, right? So we've been on board with that. But what you had here was the 5-0, and what the 5-0 really looks like is this without the 5-0. You have this guy. This is what your shark looks like, okay? So if we go to our current range and we look again, we are forming another shark. This one actually is a little more fitting than the last one. The Fibonacci levels line up even a little bit more nicely. You've got better symmetry here between the extensions. So how would that shape out if it does a 5-0? Is it would come down here to about 52 grand. And if we start pulling our fibs to take a look at where that might put us, you know, you'd be looking at about 52.5. And so from there, what I'm interested in doing is pulling my ranges according to what we were just talking about and seeing what lines up and what doesn't. And so going off of this new range data, that would put us pretty close to the median of the range. The golden pocket, though, which invalidate this 5.0, but the shark would still be valid, just not the 50%, and then off you go part. Does come in at the EQ of the range, right? And then we have our point of control at 47.8, and then down here near that daily at 44,000 is the value area low, which if we were to perform an exact cycle of the range like we did at the 20K top, does put you, I believe, oh, where's that daily at? Is it here? There it is. Down here at 44,888. Leaving these lows intact would be ideal. That actually would support the previous 5.0. A 5.0 does imply that the market low is in, so that would leave this low intact still, but come down here and again everybody gets bearish and then off it goes. So that could be something you could be looking at going forward, and we need to be prepared for all the scenarios though. Yeah, otherwise you would be looking to these two daily levels right here at 52,188 coming in at the 50% retrace. Then you have another daily level at 50,352 coming in really nicely around the EQ and the 618. So we've got horizontal level confluence at all the important levels at this point if we find our way back into the range. So we still need to find our way back in, but to me, I do think that we might be doing that over time here. It just depends on how much ground Bitcoin can make up in the short term. If we look at our weekly range that just closed, you can see that we still have the value area low of the weekly coming in pretty close to the 50% retrace here. And then let's go over to our monthly range for March as of right now. You'll find that the monthly value area low of this comes in at the golden pocket and that daily level right around 50, 50,000 and some change. So this to me is a very important level to hold. Holding this monthly value area low here at the golden pocket would be a pretty nice move. This would still be higher lows in place. This low is still there. This low is still in place. This low is still in place. It would just be a pretty nasty shakeout. And if we look at the percentage change on these, on the move, like let's say it just goes to the golden pocket alone, you're looking at about 18 to 20% here, which in this scheme of Bitcoin and crypto is not that much. But if we go all the way to the bottom of the range here, you are looking at a full 28% retrace. One of those larger retraces that people seem to think we can't have despite having had them. So we need to be prepared for that. At the same time, we need to understand that if we can come up here and clear basically the weekly value area high, I think that we could just be going right back to all-time highs. And and I would be willing to maybe put on some risk at that time and hold some risk at that time into this position, because this is going to be a take profit for me if we get back up here. I am going to be taking profits in this region and watching the reaction, because it's just not something I'm willing to hold through. I'll probably even be hedging at the old all-time high, to be honest with you. I think that 58,500 would be a really key area to start considering taking profits and front running that golden pocket and the highs here of this old weekly range. This little area would be important to me. I think 58,500 is a definite take profit. So that's how I would trade it. It's not financial advice, guys. You can do whatever you want. This could just be the dip you're all waiting to buy. It could also be just the beginning of a dip. We don't know yet, but that's just my inclination. So this is a lot to unpack. Sorry, 18 minutes on Bitcoin. Wow. In the words of Owen Wilson, wow. So that's it, guys. 59,450 to the upside, and I'm more bullish, looking for further continuation. Any loss of the current low here, and I am looking down to probably about 52.5. From there, we are looking down to about $50,000. Anything below 50K, and I think that the likelihood of going all the way back down to 44,888, that 45K low, is probably pretty likely, and we are cycling the range much like we did before. So in other instances. So that's what I've got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of content. There's a lot to unpack. Sorry if I was talking kind of fast in it, but I know that there's a lot to actually cover. And I try to get you guys stuff that you can learn from and you find valuable. So let's look at Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is bouncing from the 2-day level. This is the key level to hold, but we did mention that it's not something we wanted to see. If you recall, we said holding this $1,800 region would be key. If we lose it, I said it's an opportunity. And the opportunity came and it went and just dumped all the way back down to support here. So we did form, and I didn't catch this until, well, we were sitting about right here, and I posted it in the group, and it was on Twitter. And I said, you know, if we don't come back up here and invalidate these highs, this has formed a perfect bat. I mean, you have the 50% to 50%, and then basically an 886 to D. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. You know, I mean, this is a very clean structure. And this would be your take profits on a structure like this, just trading it from a harmonic standpoint. You would probably front run these targets, obviously, for horizontal. So you've hit take profit 1, right? Take profit 2 would be down here at the 2-day level, $1,600 makes sense. Okay. From there, you're looking at the golden pocket. Take profit 4 is at C at 1441, and then A down here at 1293. And these can actually be really powerful reversal patterns at times. So do keep that in mind, that if this comes up here and forms a lower high as well, it could be in for some of these targets to the downside. Just keep your fibs on your charts, know where your value areas are, because in an overly bullish market, bearish patterns don't always reach their full potential. So understanding that there could be opportunities before these targets are hit is going to be important. And I do think that that will be something that comes into play potentially. So even like the $1,600 level or the $1,500, this golden pocket, these could all come into play as areas that are going to be key for Ethereum and offer up good value. So scaling into Ethereum might be the best bet if you're not willing to short it, which I know a lot of people are very adverse to shorting in the bull market, which is fine. But if you are looking for areas of value, you would be identifying these as, okay, I have some form of technical analysis saying that we could get there. I might place some bids in these areas to potentially add to my positions and lower my average. So that's what I've got for you guys on Ethereum. To the upside, you really, I mean, obviously you want to see 1803 here regained, but in reality, I'm probably looking at 1850 right off the bat. If this can get regained, I think that this is the level to regain for Ethereum straight away. 1848. If you can get above 1848, you can at least make an attempt at getting above these highs right here. And then you're going to want to clear these highs. So your next big area is going to be 1848, 1893. I think if you get over 1893, you will come back up to 1933. At that point, I would look at this far more bullishly, and I would say that this is a nice rounded bottom, and you're probably off and running. I think you're making all-time highs at that point. So that would be your triggers and confirmations there, guys. Loss of the 2-day, I think we probably go to $1,600, give or take about $50. So I'd say between 1611 and 1630 probably in this region. If we can clear 1803, I do think we'll probably challenge 1848, get over 1848, and I think 1893 or $1,900 even, whatever you want to call it. And then from there, the weekly at 1933 is your next hurdle. But at that point, again, this would begin to look very, very rounded, very, very mature or ripe. You would have something like this, as you can see, and it would be forming a new move to the upside, and this would just all look like a bearish washout, right? So just keep an eye on price action. Obviously, I'm going to keep you guys up to date on what I think, but hopefully this was an informative update for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you guys want more information on harmonics, again, Scott Carney's website, harmonictrader.com. He does have 2 books out there that I know of. Or you can join my Discord. It is free. I post my charts, my thoughts, my shit posts in there all day. So you guys are going to be privy to that. Or you can follow me on Twitter. I do post a lot on there. I do a lot of trolling on Twitter as well. So don't get offended if you see me posting things that, just to troll. I'm just trying to get a reaction out of people because I don't work, guys. I do this for a living. I got to have interaction and got to have that banter. So got to get it somewhere. But again, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video.